Hey y'all, so today is Monday, and as you know, on Monday we talk about books. And I typically like to share with you my favorite books which have enlightened me, empowered me, and inspired me to live my best magical life. And today I'm going to talk to you about three different books, all by the same author, Joanne Harris, who, by the way, is no relation to me. This is what's known as the Chocolate Trilogy. There's three books. The first one is Chocolate. The second one is The Lollipop Shoes, although overseas this book was called The Girl with No Shadow. And finally, the third one is Peaches for Father Francis. So really quickly about these books. Chocolate came out about 20 something years ago because they made a movie with it with Johnny Depp and Juliette Binoche. I think that's how you say her name. And that was in 2000, so that was like 20 years ago. If you've seen the movie, you get the gist of the book, but they made some changes for the movie that I didn't really like. You know, I'm one of those people who feel like the book is always better. So in the first book, as you know, if you've seen the movie or read the book, the main character, Vivienne Rocher, she moves into this town in France, a small town in France, and she opens up a chocolate shop, candy shop, right across the street from the church. And in the movie, they made, let me go back. She does this right at the beginning of Lent when people are abstaining from things in order to purge their sins. So in the movie, they made the main villain the local mayor who opposed her opening this chocolate shop right at Lent. In the book, it's the local priest, Father Francis, who is the main villain. And also in the movie, they removed a lot of her witchcraft. There's scenes in here of her using tarot cards. She's scrying in chocolate. She's empowering the little chocolates to get people to open up and talk and really come into their own power, acknowledge their wounds, and help try to heal heal them. That's a really good book. Now, the second book, The Lollipop Shoes, which I mentioned, was called The Girl with No Shadow overseas. This is my absolute favorite of the trilogy. In this book, Vianne has moved again. She's in a new small town, and rather than running a chocolate shop, she's working in one that's owned by someone else. And at the beginning of this book, that person has passed away, and she really doesn't know what she's going to do. And enters the main villain of this book, who goes by many, many names and identities, but she goes by Zosie de la Alba in this book. And she, unlike the mayor or the priest in the first book, the main villain in this book is actually another witch, and she's one of my absolute favorite characters of fictional witches of all time. She has, I want to say, three main powers. She has developed a system of sigil magic based on Mesoamerican gods, energies, and beliefs. So throughout the book, she calls them fingerings. So sometimes you're not sure if she's like doing something like the mango figa or she's actually drawing a sigil in the air. It seems like she does both of them at certain times. She also reads auras, but in this book it's called colors. And then she is an identity thief and something of a con artist. So she also has this uncanny ability to look at someone's shoes and know something of their character based on their shoes. And so she comes into Vianne's life, and she tries to take over Vianne's life because she's hiding out from the authorities. Something went wrong with one of her other heists, and so she needs to lay low for a while. So she's sort of laying low in this small town, collecting information from locals and trying to steal Vianne's identity and maybe something more, but I'm not going to tell you about that. And then finally, in the third book, Peaches for Father Francis, Vianne goes back to the town in the first book when she gets a letter from the main character, from the character that was played by Judi Dench in the movie. by this time, you know, the character, I forget the character's name, but the Judi Dench character was sick with diabetes in the first book, and she passes away. Um, but she sends a letter to Vianne to come back to the town and take care of her home, or just finish. There's some unfinished business, and while Vianne's there is a mystery to be solved. There's someone who is going around attacking women and lighting them on fire, and it seems like it comes up to Vianne to solve this mystery of who is doing this. She also meets Father Francis again, because it's called Peaches for Father Francis, and maybe they work together to solve this mystery. Maybe they don't. It just depends on if you read the book or not. But again, these are my recommended books for this week. If you have a lot of downtime to read, or if you're just looking for a great trilogy to read, I highly recommend the Chocolate Trilogy. And I hope Joanne goes on to write more books about these characters. And anyway, until next time, make good decisions, be good people, and do good things. Bye.